Right, hello everyone and welcome to this new video on the channel. So today I'm going to be reacting to my Premier League predictions that I made before the start of the season, and we're also going to be finding out what score I got based on a point system that I use. So basically you get a point per position that you are out on the table. So for example, if I picked a team to finish in 4th and they did, they'll get 0 points. But if I predict them to finish 4th and they finish 7th, they'll get 3 points because that's how many places they are out. So basically the aim here is to get the least amount of points possible. So let's see how I did then. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So the way we're going to do this is I'm going to go through my predictions from bottom to top, and we're going to see how they compared to the actual table. So we're in for a good start here, as I'm sure plenty of people predicted this as well. In 20th position, I predicted Sheffield United, who did finish rock bottom in 20th, which means no points to me. And this are pretty much, everyone kind of thought this before the season even started, really. They lost the best 2 players even before the start of the season from last year. So they actually looked a weak team in the Prem, the team they had in the Championship. So it was always going to be a struggle for Sheffield United, and it proved to be that. I mean, they had some really heavy losses, including an 8-0 home defeat to Newcastle United, and a lot of others as well. I believe it's the most goals conceded by a team in a Premier League season. So yeah, it's not been a good season at all for Sheffield United. In 19th, I had Wolves, who end up finishing in 14th, so that's 5 points for me here. I thought Wolves had really struggled, to be fair, but I think this really shows what a job Gary O'Neill has done, because they looked doomed before the start of the season, to be honest with you, and I didn't really see a way out of it for him. I even had him bottom for a bit, and then I put Sheffield United there eventually, but yeah, O'Neill's got them playing pretty well, and yeah, they finished solidly in mid-table with no fear of relegation whatever. And in 18th position, another team spot on is Luton Town, and they did finish in 18th, so no points for me here. I thought I got this pretty spot on here. I thought, you know, they'd be fighting, they'd kind of be close to surviving, but just not quite have enough, and that is what happened. I mean, like I say, with the squad we've actually got, Rob Edwards, he has done a fantastic job. And, you know, they pushed Nottingham Forest all the way, but in the end, they just didn't have enough just to quite get over the line. And Forest ended up surviving, and it was the 3 promoted teams who ended up going back down. So I got 2 of the 3 relegated teams correct, just Burnley that I predicted to survive. So we'll see how they get on later in the video. In 17th, I had Everton, who ended up finishing in 15th. So 2 points here for me, and I thought I was going to get this spot on, to be fair, but they did have, like I said, they did do a lot better than I thought. Obviously, they had the points deduction, 10 points originally, and then ended up just being 4 in the end. So, yeah, they were looking in trouble, especially with that points deduction, but, you know, they did a lot better than a lot of people thought. I think Sean Dyche has finally, kind of like you say, just managed to get this team playing and, you know, making them harder to beat than they were before, and looks like it's finally clicked with them. And yeah, it's going to be interesting how they do from now on. Now they've this probably most comfy they'd survived in the last 2 seasons, to be fair. So, like I say, it's going to be interesting to see how they kick on going into next season. In 16th, I had Fulham, who end up finishing in 13th, so 3 points for me here. I thought they'd struggle quite a bit, Fulham. I thought a bit of second season syndrome would kick in, which it hasn't really, to be fair. They've kind of been around that mid-table all season, not really, like I say, not pushing for Europe at all, but in no danger of going down. They've, you know, they've just kind of quietly gone about the business and stayed up, you know, really comfy. In 15th place, I had Nottingham Forest, to end up finishing in 17th place. So 2 points for me here, and only just surviving as well. Just like Everton, they also had a points deduction this season, and saw Steve Cooper leaving the club. And yeah, they've struggled this year, to be fair, Forest. They've looked very likely of going down, but in the end, I think, like I say, they managed to grind out a few more results than Luton did. You know, and stayed a bit more consistent. Whereas, yeah, like I say, Luton just couldn't get the wins that they needed, and Forest survived by 6 points in the end, which seems a lot more than it actually was. We're a lot closer than that in reality, but they've done enough to get over the line, like I say. But it is going to be interesting next year. I feel like it's going to be a lot stronger at the bottom of the Premier League, so whether Forest are going to be able to survive once again is going to be interesting to see. In 14th place, I had Bournemouth, who ended up finishing in 12th, so 2 points once again for me here. I wanted, to be fair, to put Bournemouth in the relegation zone, but I just thought they'd be too strong to go down, which, I mean, you know, after how they treated Gary O'Neill, you know, sacking him after such a good season that he had with him last year, when everyone thought, you know, they were pretty much confirmed for relegation before the season started, and he managed to keep them up. You know, pretty crazy, to be fair, but nevertheless, we have had a pretty good season. We could have easily finished in the top half as well, but, you know, we just didn't get the results that we needed towards the end of the season. But nevertheless, it's been a superb season for Bournemouth. In 13th, I predicted Burnley, who finished in 19th, so 6 points for me here. I thought, especially after getting 100 points in the Championship last year and how strong they looked, especially going forwards, that they'd have enough to survive pretty comfy, but, you know, they never end up doing that. They leaked far too many goals. I mean, to be fair, in the Championship, you can maybe get away with going all out attack a bit, but in the Prem, teams are going to pick you off and counter you, and Burnley just couldn't deal with that, to be fair. They conceded far too many goals and ultimately just didn't have enough to survive. In 12th place, I predicted Brentford, who ended up finishing in 16th, so 4 points for me here. Definitely not as strong as the last couple of seasons for Brentford here. Yeah, I'll be honest, I'm not too sure what it is, to be fair, whether that's like, you know, certain players leaving the club, or obviously Ivan Toney having that ban at the start of the season. You know, there's quite a few factors that could maybe, you know, contribute to that. I'm not too sure what, but nevertheless, we have kind of never really been in trouble. We've stayed clear enough of the relegation zone to never really get dragged into it, but apart from that, it's been a pretty average season for Brentford. In 11th, I had Crystal Palace, who ended up finishing in 10th, so a point for me here, and I thought we were going to be a lot lower than this, to be fair. They were really struggling at the start of the season, which saw Roy Hodgson get sacked, and they finished the season absolutely on fire. I can't remember how many it is, but it's a very, very good unbeaten streak we've had, and they've managed to somehow get into the top half and finish 10th. So, like I say, a really poor start of the season for Palace, but then a extremely good end to the season for Palace. In 10th place, I had West Ham United, who ended up finishing in 9th, so a point for me here. It was quite a difficult one to predict with West Ham, where they were actually going to finish, because obviously they've got European football once again, and yeah, a lot of talks obviously about Moyes going. He has gone at the end of the season, but for a weird club, West Ham, they seem to be very up and down. They'll have a really good year and then a really average year, and vice versa. So a very hard team to predict each season, but in my opinion, 9th place isn't that bad of a season. I mean, I do feel a bit harsh for Moyes, but it is going to be interesting how they do next year without him. In 9th place, I went for Brighton, who ended up finishing in 11th, so 2 points added on to my score here. And yeah, I suppose with Brighton, first time having European football, and I suppose teams that were a bit weaker last year getting a bit stronger, it was always going to be hard to finish as high as they did. I mean, they've had a 5-place drop off from that, but nevertheless, it's still been a mid-season finish for Brighton. It's going to be interesting how they do next year. The coach is obviously leaving, and they have been a really good team at recruiting after, you know, players have left for bigger clubs or managers. So it's going to be interesting to see if they can replace him with someone else who can replicate his success. In 8th place, I had Tottenham, who finished in 5th place, so 3 points for me here, and I underestimated Tottenham quite a bit. I thought when Ange came in, he'd do a decent job, but I thought he had a hell of a job on, to be honest with you. I mean, Harry Kane obviously leaving for Bayern Munich was a big, big blow, but I think what happened there is, because we were so reliant on Kane, it kind of, when he left, kind of forced other players to step up to the plate, and I think they did that. The goals were kind of spread around the team quite a bit, and yeah, I mean, if it weren't for Villa having a superb season, they would have probably finished top 4, but nevertheless, it is a Europa League season for Tottenham next year. In 7th place, I went for Aston Villa, who finished in 4th, so 3 points for me here, and wow, what a season Aston Villa have had. I thought, you know, it's one of them, a bit like Brighton, like I say, first season in Europe, you know, how are they going to do? And, you know, with the added games and stuff like that. But, yeah, I thought we'd stay around the same, to be fair. I mean, we've got a great manager in Emery. The squad is a very good squad. But wow, I mean, who saw this? Who saw Villa finishing in the top 4? It's absolutely unreal for him. We're going to be playing Champions League football next season, so congratulations to Villa. I actually can't believe I have got this team spot on. In 6th place, I predicted Chelsea, who somehow finished in 6th. Seems like a car crash season for Chelsea once again. They just seem a mess, to be honest with you. But somehow they've finished in 6th place. I don't know how, but nevertheless, they have done it. I mean, Pochettino has just left now. It seems like, we've just hit some form at the end of the season, some results, going the way. It seems like maybe finally they've put the troubles behind them and they're moving forward, and now Pochettino's gone and we're probably going to have to start all over again. It's weird times at Chelsea, to be honest with you, at the minute, but nevertheless, they are going to be back in Europe next season, which is going to be huge for them. In 5th place, I went for Newcastle United, who ended up finishing in 7th, so 2 points for me here. I thought it'd be a bit of a drop-off, a bit more of a drop-off than I thought. I mean, they're still in Europe. We're going to be playing in the Conference League, which, you would fancy them to do pretty well in that competition. But yeah, I suppose, like I say, I don't want to say they overachieved last year, but I think a lot of it were kind of the togetherness and team spirit. But then eventually, you can't keep that going forever. And like I say, with some teams strengthening again, such as Tottenham, Chelsea, and Villa, having a superb season. I think we've just caught up to Tottenham a bit, and they have dropped. Newcastle a bit, and they have dropped down the table and finished in 7th, but still not a bad season for them at all. In 4th place, I predicted Liverpool, who finished in 3rd, so a point for me here. And it was quite a good three-horse race, to be fair, up until the last couple of weeks with them, City and Arsenal, but I lost to local rivals Everton, and then a few other bad results kind of just left them with too much to do in the end, and it were a 3rd place finish for Liverpool. In 3rd place, I had Arsenal, who finished in 2nd, so a point for me here. I'll be honest, I don't know why I put Arsenal, finishing a bit lower down, and why I picked the team in 2nd to finish there, but nevertheless, I made these predictions at the start of the season. Yeah, it's been another good season for Arsenal. I mean, I know we didn't have the gap that we had last season, but we are getting closer. They are really pushing City all the way. They took it to the final game of the season. You've given them a real good run for the money. And yeah, like I said, I think this team is only going to get stronger. It's still a very young team. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how they do next year. In 2nd place, I don't know why, but I put Manchester United, and they finished in 8th place, out of Europe completely, and that is 6 points for me. So honestly, I can't remember why I had United finishing in 2nd. I don't know, but yeah, it's been an awful season. They just seem such a toxic club at the minute. So many issues, like deep-rooted issues in that club, that I don't have an answer for Man U, to be fair. If you have a good year and you think, they're back, and then year after they'll finish like 6th, 7th or 8th, and yeah, they've just not seemed to get rid of that toxicity that's been building in the club for years, even after getting rid of quite a few of the so-called toxic players like your Pogba, your Lingard, and them type of players. But yeah, nevertheless, it has been a shocking season for United, and there'll be no European football next year unless we beat City in the FA Cup final. And in top spot, I have Manchester City, who, of course, ended up winning the league. So no points for me here, and Manchester City get their 4th Premier League title in a row. So congratulations to City. But they were taken close by both Liverpool and Arsenal. Like I said earlier, Liverpool kind of dropped off it in the last couple of weeks, but Arsenal really did take it all the way. They had to win the last 2 games to secure the title, which they did do, to be fair to them. But yeah, it's hard to ever go against City, to be fair. Even if you do have an inkling that someone else is going to win the league or might take them close, it's very, very hard when you've just got that winning mentality and, 4 league titles in a row. And when you've got a belief behind you, it is very hard to bet against someone else. And I know a lot of people have been saying, will they ever get knocked off? I think they will eventually. Like I say, Bayern had won 11 Bundesligas in a row, and now Leverkusen have pipped them to the title. So, never say never. Like I say, Arsenal looking strong. It's going to be interesting how Liverpool do next season as well. And I'm sure other teams will be, pushing to catch them teams up as well. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how the Premier League shapes up next season. Okay, so that's how I did in my Premier League predictions. So I'll put the table that I predicted just to the side of me. So my total points was 44. I got 4 teams spot on with my prediction, which were Manchester City, Chelsea, Luton and Sheffield United. And my worst one, I got 6 for 2 teams, which was Manchester United and Burnley. So not too bad there, to be fair. If you've predicted the Premier League, use this point scoring system and let me know what score you got, what your best and worst picks were. And anyway, yep, that is it for me then, so I'm going to leave the video there. So thank you very much for watching. If you're new around here, please subscribe to the channel and like the video with your old or new viewer of the channel. Also remember to follow my social media links at Adam Gittings PT on pretty much everything. So keep an eye out over the end of the season. Like I said, matchday vlogs are probably done for this year, but we have plenty more content coming up. So in the meantime, thank you very much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.